If you're designing the art to go on a package or even something to be printed professionally, there are things you should know before you submit your files. Here's 10 tips to help you correctly prepare your packaging design for production. Number 1. Use the standard. At the time of the creation of this video, Adobe reigns supreme over the design industry, which makes it the industry standard. Adobe has many apps available for creative design, like Acrobat, InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator. Each of these apps have their individual purposes and strengths, and they also overlap one another in some of their capabilities. Acrobat is for viewing and working with PDF files typically generated by other apps. InDesign is mainly for print media and should be used for text-heavy layouts, multi-page documents, and assembling multiple elements. Photoshop is mainly for editing and enhancing pixel-based or raster images like... For illustration and packaging design, Illustrator is the best choice. It's for creating vector-based, fully scalable, detailed illustrations and graphics. There are still reasons to use some of these apps together for your project. For example, except for photos, complex patterns, and transparencies, if it can be done in Illustrator, do it there. If there's an effect or filter you want that can only be done in Photoshop, do it there, then link it in your Illustrator document. Above all, you should not design your entire package in Photoshop. Number 2. Make it bleed. Printing presses and die cutters are very precise machines, but they're not perfect. When printing or cutting large amounts of boxes, there is always a small amount of shifting or bounce. To avoid getting white edges when your boxes are cut out, you should add at least 1/8 of an inch of bleed past all cut lines. Also, you should bleed color or negative space into areas you don't want visible. For example, if the bottom of your box is a different color than the sides, you probably don't want that color creeping up onto the sides when it is seen sitting on a surface. For linked images, make sure there's enough image to add bleeds where they are needed. And here's another word for you: masks. Make sure you know how to use them so you can avoid covering up things you want hidden with white boxes. A good practice is to have your box maker make a mock-up of your art on the die you are designing for. That way you can ensure your design will fit properly and you can avoid any unwanted surprises. Number 3. Got res? Okay, if you don't know what resolution means or the difference between raster and vector images, you may not be ready to design a package. But here's a crash course. Basically, raster images are created using thousands or millions of pixels. Vector images are made from editable joints and strokes that can be fully scaled. If you have raster images or photographs in your design, you need to make sure there is enough resolution, or PPI, pixels per inch. The resolution of your final output should be at least 300 PPI. Scaling your image in Illustrator can reduce your resolution also. For example, if you have a 4x6 inch 300 PPI image in Photoshop, and you then link it in Illustrator, and then scale it up to 8x12 inches, you've cut your resolution in half, down to 150 PPI. So be aware of your pixels. Number 4. No supersizing. While you're making sure your resolution is not too low, you should also make sure it is not too massive. Say you finally got that perfect product shot, and you figure, too much resolution is better than not enough, so you place the full-size image in your document. Repeating this process with multiple large images can cause problems with your design. It can make whatever workstation your files are opened on run slower, and can create excessively large files that your printer or box maker would have to download. You should save a copy of your linked images, then scale them down to where they will be about the actual size you are going to place them in your document while at about 300 PPI. This will speed up the process with your box maker and cause less supersizing headaches. Number 5. Think inside the box. Now before you watch one of those 15-minute tutorials on how to create a box die in Illustrator, save yourself the extra work and contact the box maker you will be using. They can provide you with a professionally designed die file to fit your art to. Now that you have your die file, don't change it. Remember, you are designing something that will have to fit a product in the real world. You can't just stretch a panel here or move a window there without big problems. If you have an issue where you have to change the die to accommodate your product or design, contact your box maker and tell them. They can work with you so the package will still function. Number 6. Separate the spectrum. So now you've got your design looking good, but even if it looks good on your computer screen, that doesn't mean it will look that way when it's printed. It's important to set colors of all the elements in your design to exactly the colors they will be printed in. Many graphics and photos can be produced with process colors or CMYK. These are standard cyan, magenta, yellow, and black inks which are used to print many types of graphics. However, you may want a color that goes beyond the color range of the standard process inks, like colors using the Pantone Matching System. Pantone or spot colors are predetermined mixes from a vast library of colors which can be matched across multiple items and print jobs. Whatever colors you are using in your design, they should be assigned to the correct process or spot colors. You should always have your swatches palette open when you are designing something. You can get Pantone swatches in Illustrator from its built-in libraries, or custom swatches can be created and set to either process or spot colors. You should also use custom spot swatches to set up any special effects you may have in your design, like foil stamping, embossing, and even spot coatings. You can create custom swatches for these items. Number 7. Overprints. When working on a job meant for printing, you should always be working in overprint preview mode. This will show how your process and spot colors will be interacting with one another on the printing press. It's important to make sure you have specific objects set correctly, so they don't knock out colors beneath them if they don't have to. Also, keep an eye on your glows, drop shadows, or gradient overlays to make sure they are overprinting correctly. Number 8. Zoom. As of now, Illustrator can zoom in on a document up to 64,000%. It's a good idea to zoom in on your document and make sure objects are lining up to each other and your die. You probably don't have to go to 64,000, but take a close look how the corners and edges of your graphic elements meet up. Try using guides and smart guides while you work. This will help things snap together and make things fit precisely. Doing this will make for a cleaner looking design. Number 9. Be inclusive. Now you're ready to send your art to the printer, but hold on, you might be forgetting something. Remember that perfect product shot you put into your box design? You almost forgot to send it to your box maker. If you had this little box checked when you imported your images, Illustrator will keep an active link to that image file and not include it in the document. So that means when your box maker opens your file, the link will be missing. There's a couple ways to avoid this. You can embed your images into the Illustrator file, or you can just send the linked images along with your document. Embedding works fine, but can cause unnecessarily large files, which may take them a long time to save. Illustrator has a package function that will automatically save a copy of your Illustrator file, along with copies of all the linked images and fonts, into a separate folder on your computer, which you can then send as a packaged file to your printer or box maker. Number 10. Find your type. Missing fonts have been an ongoing problem for print shops and packaging makers for many years. And believe it or not, it is still a problem today. There's a couple ways to avoid this problem. You can send the font files you used along with your document, or you could outline your fonts. Keeping your fonts with the document may speed up the process if a minor change needs to be made at the printer or box maker. You can use the package function mentioned earlier to copy the fonts you're using from your computer to a folder you can then send to your printer or box maker. Copyrighted fonts may not copy when using this option, and you should always send Mac-compatible fonts to your printer or box maker. Also, Adobe Creative Cloud has a library of fonts that can be synced to your document on different computers, but this may not always be an option for your printer. On the other hand, you could outline your fonts. Illustrator can convert your fonts from a live or editable version to outlines or vector shapes. Once your fonts are outlined, you can't go back and make a type change. You should save a separate outlined copy of your design so you don't lose the ability to make type edits. Outlining fonts can also cause slight variances in the appearance of your type. A quick note, most printers or box makers will accept PDF files of your art. This is an easy way to package your design with your fonts and images included. But a PDF file is only as good as the original artwork that created it. So make sure all the things like your bleeds, image resolution, and colors are correct before you save a PDF file to send. It's still a good idea to always send the original Illustrator file with a PDF in case the printer needs to tweak anything. Now you can send that packaged design in. Remember, most manufacturers would rather deal with questions from designers than poorly prepared digital art files. So don't hesitate to call your box maker and ask questions. Please support me and my channel for more videos like this one. And thanks for the view.